PG&E's monopoly territory is home to 17 million people.
Families already struggle to pay their bills.
PG&E was convicted of 91 felonies.
Really? I mean, what's next?
Greybeard talks solar. He is SolarWise.
Welcome to the Greybeard Talk Solar YouTube channel. This is a place where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning some sunshine into some serious savings for homeowners. This is all about solar. I'm going to be talking today about power purchase programs and escalators. 0%, 199, 299, 3.5. It's a common question when it comes to power purchase programs, and I'm going to delve right into it, give you my 2 cents on what I think is the best option, depending on how long you intend to stay in your home. So strap yourself in. This should be some good information, and please smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons if you will. We like to further share and inform homeowners about the benefits of solar. And if that's something that would be right up your alley, something you want to stay on top of, then this is the channel. All right, so let's jump into it. So first and foremost, as many of you may already be aware, the 30% federal income tax credit benefit for solar is going bye-bye. It's gone. Now, effectively, that doesn't happen until the end of this year, December 31st of 2025, but realistically, it's going to happen in a week or two. What I mean by that is that most installers are going to stop accepting contracts under the premise that the homeowner wants to get the cash or finance system installed before the end of the year. There's just too much risk with inclement weather, utilities taking a long time to approve the permits. And so most, installers in solar are putting a hard stop around September 15th for roof-mounted systems and August 1st for ground-mounted systems. So here's what's going to happen. In the world of solar, it's my opinion that the only adoption method of solar moving forward is going to be a power purchase program. Now, these programs have proliferated a lot since interest rates skyrocketed over the last 3 years. They've gotten much better in terms of their ability to be transferred to new homeowners if you ever sell the house. There's no debt in your name. It's not the same thing as a lease. They're similar, but not the same. And certainly the lowest payment available for residential solar adoption versus financing a system or versus a lease. And so basically the concept behind a power purchase program is another utility company outside of your normal utility. So let's take, for example, PG&E in California. You normally, without solar, would get your energy from PG&E. And so another utility, not PG&E, will install a solar system, a solar generating power plant for your home on your roof, and then you'll buy the energy from that system that you don't own, that you didn't have to pay to install. You'll buy the energy from that system, and the energy cost is meaningfully cheaper than that of the utility. So, for example, in PG&E territory, commonly, Tier 1 energy in the summer rates is about 43 cents a kilowatt hour. Tier 2 energy in the summer, which is between 3 and 9 p.m., that's about 62 cents a kilowatt hour. So we're seeing these power purchase programs allow homeowners to buy energy, that same energy that would cost you 43 to 62 cents with the utility. They're able to buy it for anywhere from, I'd say, low 20s to mid 20s. So 25, 26 cents a kilowatt hour versus the utility. So a lot of our clients really, really like these programs because there's no debt in your name, no loan in your name, easy to transfer, cuts your utility bill exposure meaningfully, and all for a system that someone else owns, maintains, and monitors and insures. So here's where we're going to get into the discussion today. Most power purchase programs have some sort of a cost escalator that ratchets up with time. Commonly right now in this environment in summer of 2025, that escalator is about 3.5%. A year or two ago, it was closer to 2.9%. Obviously, inflation has had an effect. Escalators have risen. So what that does is it addresses three things that the power purchase program provides that you wouldn't normally get elsewhere with a traditional contract if you own the system. Number one, they're going to insure the system because they own it. Whereas if you bought a solar system, you would have to insure it yourself. And obviously there's a cost increase for that. Insurance is meaningfully going to go up over the next 25 years. Can we all agree on that? Second issue is they have human capital and technology capital that monitors the production of the system. You have a production guarantee with a power purchase program. That's another advantage, meaning basically if the system doesn't produce a minimum threshold, usually 90% of what it's supposed to in a year, you're entitled to a refund. Okay, so they have to monitor the system to make sure it's staying online because they don't want to be in a situation where they end up sending you money back in the form of a refund because they didn't pay attention. So the systems are insured. They're monitored. Monitoring is human and technology capital, both which will get more expensive with time. And then lastly, I used to say and commonly say now that 3.5%, the biggest reason it's there is for batteries in the future. In other words, batteries were never really meant to last 25 years. It's highly unlikely that a battery will last 25 years. So the power purchase company that owns the system will likely have to replace that equipment, replace that battery at some point, and that 3.5% escalator seeds a fund that will allow them to do that. Now, that's one of the biggest objections, though, that we see from power purchase programs is the fact that it escalates in cost, that it goes up in cost 3.5% a year, which is ironic because if you talk about any energy company out there, most people would expect that over a 25-year period of time, an energy company is going to have an increase in cost, regardless of whether it's PG&E, Edison, SMUD, whoever the energy company is. But a lot of people object to it because they don't like the idea. It stings too much. It reminds them of what's going on in the utilities. Even though that 3.5% is way less than the utility, it's much slower growing than the utility, but a lot of people object to it. So we used to say, depending on the timing that you're going to be in the home, if you went with a lower escalator, which are available, and I'm going to be talking specifically today about the advantages of a zero escalating power purchase program. So something that doesn't ever go up in cost. I think a lot of people will be very attracted and very interested in learning how they could lock in their utility bill at a fixed rate, never having it grow again for the solar portion that's generating energy for their home. So 3.5% escalator provides the homeowner with a much cheaper initial payment that then ratchets up with time. Every year that passes, it goes up at 3.5%. So for context, at that rate of growth, 3.5% a year. At that rate of growth, it's going to take over 20 years before the cost of the program has doubled in expense monthly. Now, you compare that to a utility. Many people in California, for example, have seen their utility bill rise and double in the last 5 to 6 years. That corresponds to closer to a 12% return. I don't know about you, but I'd rather take 3.5%. Like if I had a credit card that was charging me 3.5% or a credit card that was charging me 12%, I would buy my purchases with the 3.5% every time, right? It's cheaper, it's slower growing, it's not nearly as caustic, but it's still a pain point for a lot of homeowners. And so that's where you enter in lower escalators. So if you wanted an escalator that's lower, let's say you wanted to get an escalator that's 2%, 199, something like that. What it immediately does is it makes the initial payment more expensive. So the lower the escalator, the bigger the payment increase. Now with a 3.5% escalator on a power purchase program, we are really, really good. We see this very often where it takes a normal PG&E exposed bill and cuts the cost in half. Now, I don't think that's a bad situation, right? If you can not spend money on a system, you don't have to permit it yourself. You don't have to pay for that. You don't have to pay for the equipment. You don't have to pay for the installation. You don't have to pay for labor. You don't have to pay for inspections. And you just get the system installed and it really cuts your bill in half. That's beautiful. That's awesome, okay? But that's at that 3.5% escalator. So as you ratchet that down, if I contrast that with, let's say, a 0% escalator, that might create an initial payment for the energy that's $80 to $100 more expensive than the 3.5% version. So how do you know which one to choose? Which one's best for you? Well, that's what this video is about. Here's my 2 cents. If you're going to stay in the house, this 100% of my answer as to which one is best for you is going to depend on how long you plan on living in the home post solar adoption. So if you plan to be in the house less than 10 years, then the wisdom would be, the logic and the math would say, that you should go with a higher escalator because it creates a much lower payment for these initial 3, 4, 5, 6 years than you would have otherwise had with a 0% escalator. So you basically lock in a lower rate. I analogized previously, it's like the difference between term insurance and other insurance. If you get a 20-year term insurance life insurance policy, initially for the first 10 years, you're paying more for it than you would have if you just had it escalate every year, the price adjusted every year. But in the latter half of those years, because it's kind of on an exponential curve, the latter half of those years, you're paying way less. They average it out and then create a flat payment. So with the 0% escalator, that the advantage of that is really for people that want to stay in their home for at least 20 to 25 years. Because if you add up the total cost of all of those payments, it's usually $10,000, $15,000 or more, depending on your bill and depending on the program, less expensive than the 3.5% escalator. So as that thing goes up with time, it gets more expensive. So aggregately, think of it this way. If you're going to be in the home 25 years, you'll save a little bit more money by having zero escalator at all. However, if you're going to be in the home for less than 10 years, then you'd be better off to choose a higher one, which creates a lower payment for you. Now, these programs are complex. But I do think that there's something beautiful about the idea of not having an energy payment that ever goes up. And so the one strategic point I wanted to make today is imagine this from a saleability or marketability of your home at some point in the future. Imagine being able to tell some prospective buyer or write up on your listing or an agent that's touring the property that you were strategic enough and smart enough to adopt a solar program that created a fixed payment that never got more expensive. Because when you think about all of the solar systems out there, when you think about all of the homes that you might be competing with if you ever go to sell your home, some of those homes aren't going to have solar. So of the big four expenses of home ownership, the only one you can do anything about is energy costs, and the only way you can do that is with solar. Can't do anything about interest rates right now and your mortgage payment. Can't do anything about property taxes. They are what they are. Certainly can't do anything about fire or hazard insurance in California if you can even get it. But you can do something about your energy bill. So a house without solar is going to be less marketable than a house with solar if things continue to be expensive and caustically increase in cost. Now, having said that, if you now take an example of a house that has solar that has some sort of an escalating cost, and so you talk to this new homeowner, hey, listen, I know you love my house. We locked in solar. That's the advantage. But just so you know, this does go up in cost every single year. It goes up in cost 3.5%. That's that might create questions. It's not really an objection, not really a point that would differentiate it, in my opinion, whether somebody moves forward with your house or not. But if you think about the opposite of that, what if you could tell a buyer, listen, I had the foresight. I had the intuition. I purchased or went with a power purchase agreement that locked in a fixed rate that never gets more expensive. The longer that's in place, the bigger the contrast between that cost and whatever the utility is charging. I believe that creates a marketing opportunity. I believe it creates, it never increases. I can budget for it. It stays fixed. Yeah. I believe that creates intrigue. I think it creates appeal, especially if people are feeling pinched financially in terms of their budget. When somebody buys a new house, everything comes for their wallet. You got new paint, you got to change things around, new furniture, you got to sign up for services, you got to do security cameras, things like that. Everyone's coming for your wallet. So wouldn't it be great if you could tell somebody that, listen, that component of homeownership isn't going to wildly fly out of control for you. It's going to be steady. It's going to be locked in, especially for retired folks. I think that's an advantage, or for working families on a thinner budget. Who knows? But I do think that it's strategically beneficial. And what kind of peace of mind might that give you if it had zero increase in cost? A lot of people in California are living more uncomfortably than they've ever lived in their homes before, dealing with temperatures that they ideally don't prefer, but they don't want the monster utility bill that comes in the mail if they get comfortable in their own home, God forbid, right? So the idea that you can actually build a system that would allow you to generate more energy than you normally would need, enough energy to make you comfortable in theory, and have that be fixed cost for the next 25 years where it doesn't escalate at all, it doesn't increase, that would be powerful. That's an advantage, and I think that's something that you definitely should explore. If you want to look into that with us, all you got to do is text YouTube to 84503. Yep, YouTube to 84503. We have a 5-digit short code text number. When you text YouTube to 84503, my team will be in touch. Tell them you want to learn about this zero-cost escalating PPA, and we'll tell you all about it if It's still available. These things are fleeting. They go quick, but we wanted you to understand how that works and make sure that that's something that you're aware of. Now, thank you for watching the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed the video today. This is a place where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into some serious savings for you and your family. And please don't forget to smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Stay charged, stay informed, my friends, and definitely keep shining. I'll see you next week, same time, same place, with a brand new video. Greybeard out.
Thanks for listening to SolarWise. Greybeard Talks Solar. Please visit our website, solarwiseco.com, to learn more. And we will see you next time on SolarWise.